Welcome to today's Explainer. If you work in digital marketing or search, it's a wild ride right now, isn't it? Looking at your traffic dashboards lately probably feels like staring into pure chaos. Algorithms are updating faster than ever, AI search overviews are just scrambling traditional rankings, and suddenly everyone is tossing around a dozen new acronyms that you supposedly need to master overnight. But hey, take a breath. Today, we're cutting through all that noise to find the actual signal. We're going to dive into raw data, pull some direct quotes from Google's leadership, and look at some truly fascinating behind-the-scenes research into how AI actually operates under the hood. As you'll see, while the stakes have literally never been higher, the rules of the game, well, they might be a whole lot simpler than you think.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here are the 5 critical stories we're mapping out today. The June spam update, why good GEO is good SEO, the real AI visibility strategy, the great CTR decoupling, and how ChatGPT actually picks its sources. Finally, we'll wrap it all up by decoding a new search playbook. Section 1, the June spam update, fast and furious.
Let's start with an immediate pain point that absolutely shocked the industry. In late June 2026, Google launched a spam update right around noon Eastern on June 24th, and it was completely wrapped up just 2 days later, on June 26th, literally 48 hours. That is incredibly fast, even by Google standards. But what really made this update stand out wasn't the speed. It was the sheer devastation it left behind. Site owners across basically every niche were reporting massive traffic drops. We're talking anywhere from 10% all the way up to a gut-wrenching 80%. And the kicker, even sites that hadn't knowingly spammed saw significant losses. Google brushed it off as a normal spam update targeting global policy violations. But listen, if you were hit, you need to understand that recovery is not going to be a quick fix. You'll need to do a serious audit of your site against current spam policies. And realistically, recovery will take months, relying on periodic algorithm refreshes rather than some overnight correction. Section 2. Good GEO is good SEO. Stopping the acronym panic. Pivoting away from the panic of that spam update, there is this massive frenzy right now over acronyms like GEO, AEO, and LLM SEO. Marketers are basically scrambling, trying to figure out how to write specifically for AI bots. But let's pump the brakes for a second. Brenton Cronum, Google's VP of Search and Commerce, recently published a piece with a very clear, authoritative message to shut this panic down. He said, and I quote, "Good GEO is good SEO. Don't optimize for bots. Stop worrying about LLMs.txt." You see, Google's AI features actually retrieve content from the existing index. They run on the exact same core ranking systems as traditional search. Cronum's whole point is that Google systems understand language the way a human does. So keyword-stuffed copy and weird artificial snippets, they won't help you here. Your biggest edge isn't some shiny new technical trick. It's creating content that only your brand can uniquely create, stuff rooted in first-hand experience and highly specific use cases. Section 3. The AI Visibility Strategy. Keeping it simple. To see how this builds, let's look at another perspective straight from Google's leadership. When asked point blank what publishers can do to get their content seen in AI search, Liz Reed, Google's head of search, gave a remarkably simple answer. Make content people actually want to read. It sounds almost too simple, right? But the absolute crucial point here is that there is no separate optimization layer for AI overviews. None. It basically all boils down to 2 things. Technical accessibility, meaning Google can crawl your pages without any friction, and genuine, undeniable helpfulness. If your pages rank well organically just because real people find them useful, well, those are the ones most likely to show up in AI features. Spending hours writing specifically for AI snippet formats does not independently move the needle. Section 4. The Great CTR Decoupling. Hard data on click behavior. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, creating great content is fine, but my clicks are dropping even when I do rank well. Well, to validate that very real anxiety, we have to look at some hard data from a Q1 2026 CTR report by Advanced Web Ranking. Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast revealing a massive structural decoupling of click behavior based entirely on the device. Desktop click-through rates, they are climbing sharply across major industries, but mobile click-through rates are either dropping or holding completely flat. If you've been treating your mobile and desktop users as one single audience, this data proves once and for all that they are absolutely not acting like one. Let's walk through the specific numbers to prove this is a fundamental shift in user behavior, not just some random algorithm noise. Look at the careers industry. The top desktop positions gained nearly 11 percentage points, while the first position on mobile actually dropped by over 3 points. In technology, desktop gained 12.5 points, while mobile lost over 2. But the most staggering example here? Law. The top desktop positions gained a massive 21 percentage points, while the mobile first position shed over 9 percentage points. That is the steepest single position loss in the entire dataset. So, if your traffic is heavily mobile and you're seeing drops, the structural decoupling is exactly why. So, we've looked at Google algorithms, executive advice, and user click behavior. But to truly wrap our heads around this new era of search, we have to ask a bigger question. How does an AI like ChatGPT actually decide what to cite? It's time to lift the hood of the car and look at the raw AI mechanics. Section 5. How ChatGPT picks sources. Reading the raw JSON. To answer that question, we have to look at a fascinating 2-day study by SEO researcher Shuganthan Mohana-Dawson. He literally sat down and read ChatGPT's raw browser network traffic. And what he found buried in the JSON code was incredible. Every single web result ChatGPT pulls carries a result source field, which is essentially an internal tag. First, you've got the Labrador tier. This is heavily licensed and covers massive publications like Reuters and Wikipedia. It's essentially completely closed off to independent sites. Then there's the SERP tier for general news. But the critical ones for most content creators and B2B marketers, those are Bright, which stands for Bright Data, and Oxylabs. These are the commercial scrapers doing all the heavy lifting for shopping, regional, and commercial queries. This right here is the exact tier where you are battling it out for visibility. And this brilliantly illustrates the highly technical stakes involved right now. For example, why is Reddit so heavily cited by ChatGPT? Well, it's because its text is exposed in plain HTML, making it incredibly easy for these commercial scrapers to read. On the flip side, YouTube videos are fetched heavily by the thinking models, but they're almost rarely actually cited. Why? Because citations bind to text, and YouTube doesn't expose its transcripts in HTML. Even more importantly, the study found that ChatGPT fires direct probes actively looking for pricing pages. But, and this is a huge but, if your facts or your pricing are hidden behind fancy JavaScript, the AI bots literally cannot read them. They will bypass you entirely, and usually they'll just fall back to aggregator sites like G2. Section 6. The new search playbook. Back to basics. When we take a step back and synthesize all of this, the aggressive algorithm updates, the direct, no-nonsense advice from Google's leadership, the hard CTR data, and the raw JSON scraping mechanics of ChatGPT, it all points to a single, cohesive strategy. Here are the actionable takeaways you need to implement basically today. First, put your core facts and your pricing in plain, simple HTML so the AI scrapers can actually see them. Second, remember that quality density matters more than ever. One incredibly strong, helpful page beats 10 thin, mediocre ones every single time. Third, stop optimizing for bots and chasing whatever the new acronym of the week is. Create content that real people actually want to read because that is genuinely your only path to AI visibility. And finally, go look at your analytics. Start treating your mobile and desktop users as two completely distinct audiences with entirely different click behaviors. The foundational rules of search, they really do remain the same, but the technical stakes, they are higher than ever before. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and get more high-degree marketing insights just like the ones we've covered today, make sure to visit serpblobseo.com. And before you dive into your next big marketing campaign, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. As the algorithms keep changing and the bots get smarter and smarter by the day, is your site truly built to serve the human reader, or are you still just chasing the bots? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.